everyone, it's Attorney Latrice Knighton. I'm excited today to be your presenter on how you divide money in divorce. I'm just going to wait here for a minute to allow some other people to join us, so stay tuned guys, I'll be starting shortly. Okay guys, let's get started. I'm Attorney Latrice Knighton. I'm a partner here at Sterling Law Offices, and I'm going to be your presenter today on the topic entitled How You Divide Money in Divorce. And I know it's a topic you guys are all excited to learn about. Now, before we get started, I just have one request, and I've already done it, so I'm asking you to do the same. I'm asking you to silence your phones, close any distractions that you might have, and close your door, and prepare to learn stuff that is new to you. Why? Because you matter, and what happens to you, your financial future, really has a long-term impact. So I'm asking that you take this time now to learn some new information. Now, at the end, you'll find out how to get even more free information, just to kind of get you started on this whole process of divorce. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, so I'm going to start right away with talking with you today about the top 3 concerns that I hear when I speak with clients about money and divorce. One of the first concerns that I hear about is, will everything be divided equally? Maybe your spouse has threatened that, you won't get something. You won't get half of the money, or you aren't entitled to any equity in the home, but there's some fear that you have that things won't be divided equally. Also, a lot of people are concerned about maintaining the same lifestyle and maintaining it for you and your kids. And lastly, you want to make sure that you can retire comfortably, that you don't have to work, way into your 70s, because you will be able to retire because everything's been divided equally or fairly. Now, based on all my experience, the key to protecting your money is to understand what you have. And so we're going to talk to you today about doing just that, because the more information, the more power. You are in the right place today if you want to protect your money. You want to make sure that you get what you're entitled to, that it isn't wasted away, and that your spouse isn't hiding. That you want a fair division of the money, that you don't want to be told that you can't have half of money that's in an account because it didn't come out of your exact paycheck, or because you're a stay-at-home mom, that because you stayed at home. You want a fair division. And you're also in the right place if you want to make sure that you can live comfortably, that you don't want to worry that you end up broke or homeless, or unable to do the things for the kids that you used to be able to do. That is a priority to you. Here at Sterling Law Offices, we are all about helping families move forward. And in doing that, here at Sterling Law Offices, we concentrate 100% on family law. And by doing that, we've won some awards. We've joined lots of organizations that are all about family law. And we do this every single day. We work with judges and court commissioners and attorneys and other financial and psychological and all types of experts that are there to help our clients. And that's who we care about the most, our clients, and what our clients experience going through the divorce process. Here at Sterling Law Offices, we understand how important this time is and that you really need some guidance to make sure that everything works out best for you and your family. And we're here to help you get the best outcome and to give you strategies and tips to get there. So in order to be best prepared for all of the money and financial decisions you're going to have to make moving forward, we're going to get started by really talking you through some of the truths about this process and about how money and divorce work together. First, I want to be clear that you are going to have to do an accounting of everything, and you want to do an accounting of everything, because really you are in the best position if you understand everything that you have and everything that you owe. And sometimes your spouse will have some of that information, sometimes you have it. You and your spouse may not always agree on the values of property. So say you have an idea of what everything is. You also have to then go to the next step, which is to say, hey, what's it worth? And, I see small disputes over the values of home and large ones. I mean, it depends on your perspective. If $30,000 difference in your valuation of the house compared to your spouse, and then, people try to value the car in different ways, and say if it's in good condition versus bad condition, or what have you. So just know that you may not agree on value then too. And I also want you to understand that sometimes you'll have to use an expert to appraise your property. You might not be able to do it on your own, or you might just disagree. You won't be able to, for instance, do a pension appraisal on your own. It's just not possible. And it's hard to do most of these appraisals on your own. Sometimes you can come to agreement on the value, but get an expert if you disagree. You will also, the standard really is that everything is presumed to be marital. And you're going to have to prove, like if you got a gift or inheritance, that was supposed to be just your property, not your spouse's. So just know that, dust off those old wills and trust agreements and IRA accounts if you're trying to say that something is individual, because you're going to have to show it. And in the end, the court is required to give a fair and equitable, meaning equal division of assets and debts. But again, you can argue what that is if you can prove it. So now that I've talked you through all those truths, it's time for you to get prepared and all this financial stuff. And I'm excited to get started on how you divide money in divorce. 5 tips about how to prepare to divide money in divorce. Here's what you need to be doing. First tip is collect income information, because you need to understand what you are making as far as income and what your spouse is making as far as income, because it has an impact on lots of different things, including child support and maintenance. So, and also to make certain that you can afford your current lifestyle. So you need to understand gross income, if there's any bonuses, and sometimes people will look right away at deductions and talk about net income. You need to understand what the deductions are, but we're really talking about gross. And when you're looking at the pay stubs, sometimes you'll find out that some funds may be even transferred to another account, because that person, your spouse, has set up another separate account that you didn't know about or knew about, and so money could be going in more than one account. So make sure you're paying attention to that. I hear a lot of times people say they have no money because after you look at their gross income and take out all the deductions, if you're not paying attention, you don't seem like you have enough money to make your bills. So just be wary that if a person, you've got to look at those deductions, because the person could be just stashing away a ton of money into retirement accounts, and so it's lowering their gross income, or stashing some money away or paying off a loan that you didn't know about. So it's important to really look at those deductions, especially when someone's saying they don't have any money. The second tip, you want to review your monthly expenses, because you need to know what starting over looks like and how you're dividing up all your expenses each month. A lot of the major items that you need to look at, especially when we're coming to temporary orders or agreements that you're going to make while your divorce case is pending, because you need to make sure your bills are covered. You want to look at your mortgage or rent. You want to know what your utility bills are, your telephone and internet, your credit card minimums, any child care expenses, or insurance and medical bills. I mean, those are absolute necessities that have to be paid. What I do want to forewarn you about is the court, if you're asking for temporary orders or even at the end of the case, you want to make sure you can make, your bills, you can live within your budget. But they're not going to go out and make sure that you can have always the same standard of like self-care, like spa appointments or haircuts or gym memberships. I mean, it all depends on your financial situation and how much money there is available to be sharing, but just be aware of that. The third tip I would suggest is that you put values on all of your property. And again, sometimes you will be able to reach agreements on this, and that's because you'll get statements, and it is what it is. For some accounts like a 401k, that's what's in there. A pension, again, you have to get that value. And so you're going to have to get appraisals on the things that you can't do on your own. And sometimes people even try to do Kelley Blue Book or other tools to get at values of vehicles. And even in those situations, I mean, I've even seen disputes where people disagree on the value because one person's using fair condition and one person's using excellent. You got to make those determinations of what you guys can agree on in order to get that, or you're going to have to get value or appraised. The fourth tip to make sure that you fairly divide your property. I mean, you're going through the process of getting statements to determine value, getting appraisals to determine value, in order to fairly divide what you guys acquired during your marriage. And that's really important. This is a major decision that's going to impact your standing long term. And if you make the wrong decision or you just give up on getting appraisals, it really can impact you. So again, you want to fairly divide your property. And an equal division of property includes, dividing everything up in bank accounts, everything up in your retirement accounts, and making sure that personal property is fairly divided. Now, you may not want to sit around and get appraisals of everything in your home because, the court's not going to want to hear about, spices and pots and pans. But hey, divide that stuff up equally because no one wants to be running to Target to replenish a whole cabinet of spices and pots and pans. I mean, that stuff adds up. So don't just not pay attention to that. Just really think about it. Like, you have to equally divide any equity that's in the home, so the mortgage minus the value, and that's the equity, and then you can offset that with other values, such as one of you may have a higher value on your motor vehicle, or one of you may be taking more debts. All of it needs to be put into a pot and equally divided. And just remind yourself that use cash values. I mean, you don't want to use compare cash to non-cash. So, for instance, a 401k statement, that statement is if that money stays in there, but it's not the same as receiving a check from the sale of a home. So, typically we take 20% off of 401k, so you can compare that because that's the real cash value, because that's really what the penalty would be if you decided to use that to buy another house versus the profit you got off the house. That's how you get cash to cash values. Remember that. And the fifth tip I would say is while you're reviewing all your statements, you need to determine if you're going to need some financial support from your spouse. So in order to get to that place of knowing if you're going to need some financial support, you're going to have to review your income and expenses and determine whether or not you can meet your monthly budget, and if not, how much more money would you need from your spouse. And then as far as if you're going to need more money, are you going to need child support if you have kids? Because that would be determined first. And if not, are you going to also need, or if not, if you don't have any kids, or you do have kids, but you still need more money, will you get alimony from your spouse? What does your state law say about that? A lot of people come in and want to know the answer right away, and we always kind of say it depends because we have to look to the statute. And the court considers the length of the marriage, whether one of you can work, if you have a disability or not, your education, your work experience, the time that you've been away from work because you were at home raising the kids, or etc. I mean, there's lots of factors, of course, to look at. And we can talk you through all of that, what our experience is in your county with the judges that your case gets assigned to. You need to also know whether or not you're ever going to need to use like a vocational expert, because that person can say if someone's underperforming based on their job experience, or how long it'll take to re-enter the market if they've been away for a while. So my 5 tips to start preparing for dividing money and divorce. You need to collect income information, and then review your monthly expenses. You also need to put values on all the property and determine ways to fairly divide that property. And after all is said and done, you need to find out if you need some support, either child support or alimony from your spouse. Those are the major tips that I have for you today about money and divorce. And many times people have more specific questions because their family situation and their money situations is just different. We are more than happy to sit down with you and strategize what we suggest that you do based on the law and how your county does things and what your family situation is. So please don't hesitate in scheduling a strategy session with us. You can learn more information on how to schedule that session by going back on our website at sterlinglawyers.com. So I hope to see you another webinar, at a seminar, or be meeting with you at a strategy session. Until then, guys, I will see you next time. Have a great day.